Namaste, myself Triveni Purana, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Physiotherapy and Diagnostics. Today we are going to discuss about stroke. What is stroke? Stroke is defined by the WHO as a clinical syndrome consisting of rapidly developing clinical signs of focal disturbance of cerebral function lasting more than 24 hours or leading to death with no apparent cause other than a vascular origin. What are the risk factors for stroke? These are high blood pressure. High blood pressure is the main risk for stroke. Blood pressure is considered high if it stays at or above 140 to 90 millimeter of mercury over time. If you have diabetes or chronic kidney disease, high blood pressure is defined as 130 to 80 mm or higher. Next risk factor is diabetes. Diabetes is a disease in which the blood sugar level is high because the body doesn't make enough insulin or doesn't use its insulin properly. What is insulin? Insulin is a hormone that helps move blood sugar into cells where it's used for energy. Next risk factor is heart disease, coronary heart disease, cardiomyopathy, heart failure, and atrial fibrillation can cause blood clots that can lead to stroke. Next risk factor is smoking. Smoking can damage blood vessels and raise blood pressure. Smoking also may reduce the amount of oxygen that reaches body's tissue. Exposure to secondhand smoke can damage blood vessels. Next risk factor is age and gender. Your risk of stroke increases as we get older. At younger ages, men are more likely than women to have strokes. However, women are more likely to die from strokes. Women who take birth control pills also are slightly higher risk of stroke. Next factor is race and ethnicity. Strokes occur more often in African American, Alaska Natives, and American Indian adults than in white, Hispanic, and Asian American adults. Next risk factor is related to personal or family history of stroke or transient ischemic attack. If you have had a stroke, you are at higher risk for another one. Your risk of having a repeat stroke is the highest right after stroke. A TIA also increases your risk of having a stroke, as does having a family history of stroke. Next factor is brain aneurysm or arteriovenous malformations. Aneurysm are balloon-like bulges in an artery that can stretch and burst. Arteriovenous malformations are tangles of faulty arteries and veins that can rupture within the brain. AVMS may be present at birth but often undiagnosed until they rupture. Other risk factors for stroke, many of which you can control, these are alcohol, illegal drugs including cocaine, amphetamines, and other drugs. Certain medical conditions such as sickle cell diseases, vasculitis, bleeding disorders, and other is lack of physical activity. Other factors which can control are overweight and obesity, stress and depression, unhealthy cholesterol levels, unhealthy diet, use of NSAIDs but not aspirin may increase the risk of heart attack or stroke, particularly in patients who have had a heart attack or cardiac bypass surgery. The risk may increase the longer NSAIDs are common. Common NSAIDs include ibuprofen and naproxen. Now, What is the pathophysiology of stroke? The two major categories of stroke are ischemic, that is lack of blood and hence oxygen to an area of the brain. And the second category of stroke is hemorrhagic, which is bleeding from a burst or leaking blood vessel in the brain. We are two pathophysiological factors. First is ischemia and second is hemorrhage. Now, what is ischemic stroke? Ischemic stroke is lack of sufficient blood flow to perfuse cerebral tissue due to narrow or blocked artery leading to or within the brain. Ischemic stroke can be broadly subdivided into thrombotic and embolic strokes. Narrowing is commonly the result of atherosclerosis, the occurrence of fatty plaque lining the blood vessels. As the plaques grow in size, the blood vessel becomes narrow and the blood flow to the area beyond is reduced. Damaged area of an atherosclerotic plaque can cause a blood clot to form, which blocks the blood vessel, a thrombotic stroke. In an embolic stroke, blood clot or debris from elsewhere in the body, typically the heart valves, travel through the circulatory system and block narrower blood vessels. Based on the etiology of ischemic stroke, a more accurate subclassification is generally used. These are large artery disease, small vessel disease, embolic stroke, stroke of determined etiology, and fifth is stroke of undetermined etiology. First is large artery disease. Atherosclerosis is of large vessels including internal carotid artery, vertebral artery, basilar artery, and other major branches of circle of veins. Small vessel diseases is changes due to chronic disease such as diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia, and smoking that lead decreased compliance of the arterial wall and narrowing and occlusion of lumen of smaller vessels. Embolic stroke is the most common cause of an embolic stroke is atrial fibrillation. Stroke of determined etiology such as inherited disease, metabolic disorders, and coagulopathies. Stroke of undetermined etiology after exclusion of all above. In the core area of stroke, blood flow is so drastically reduced that cells usually cannot recover and subsequently undergo cellular death. The tissue in the region bordering our core, known as the ischemic membrane, is less severely affected. This region is rendered functionally silent by reduced blood flow but remains metabolically active. Cells in this area are endangered but not yet irreversibly damaged. They may undergo apoptosis after several hours or days, but if blood flow and oxygen delivery is restored shortly after the onset of stroke, they are potentially recoverable. Now, what is the pathophysiology of hemorrhagic stroke? Hemorrhagic strokes are due to rupture of a blood vessel leading to compression of brain tissue from an expanding hematoma. Hemorrhagic stroke can distort and injure tissue. In addition, the pressure may lead to a loss of blood supply to affected tissue with resulting infarction. And the blood released by brain hemorrhage appears to have direct toxic effect on brain tissue and vasculature. What is intracerebral hemorrhage? Intracerebral hemorrhage caused by rupture of blood vessel and accumulation of blood within the brain. This is commonly the result of blood vessel damage from chronic hypertension, vascular malformation, or the use of medications associated with increased bleeding rates such as anticoagulants, thrombolytics, and antiplatelet agents. In subarachnoid hemorrhage is gradual collection of blood in the subarachnoid space of the brain dura, typically caused by trauma to the head or rupture of cerebral aneurysm. What are the early warning signs of stroke? These are sudden numbness or weakness of face, arm or leg, especially on one side of the body. Next sign is sudden confusion, trouble in speaking or understanding. Third sign is sudden trouble seeing in one or both eyes. Fourth early warning sign is sudden trouble walking, dizziness, and loss of balance or coordination. Other than these, other important but less common symptoms are sudden nausea, fever, and vomiting, distinguished from viral illness by the speed of onset, and brief loss of consciousness or period of decreased consciousness. Now, what is transient ischemic attack? It refers to temporary interruption of blood supply to the brain, which is transient. Symptoms may last for only few minutes or for several hours, but not last for longer than 24 hours. After the attack is over, there is no evidence of residual brain damage or permanent neurological dysfunction. Its primary impairments are related to sensation. Sensation is frequently impaired but rarely absent on hemiplegic side. The type and extent of impairment is related to location and size of vascular lesion. Common distribution of loss is face, upper extremity, and lower extremity pattern. In this, proprioceptive losses are common. Patient may complain of abnormal sensation such as numbness and hyperesthesia. What is the pain involvement in stroke? Stroke can result in severe headache or neck and face pain. Lesions of PCA involving ventral posterolateral thalamus can result in central post-stroke pain, or we can say thalamic pain. There is a constant severe burning pain with intermittent sharp pain. Patients experience an exaggerated response to stimuli affecting the contralateral half of the body. Paroxysmal spasm pain may be triggered by simply stroking the skin, pinprick, contact with heat or cold, and pressure, that is hyperalgesia. Loud noise, bright lights, or mild irritants may also trigger pain. There are also visual changes such as homonymous hemianopsia. It is a visual field defect, occurs with lesion involving optic radiation in the internal capsule, which is MCA distribution, or in primary visual cortex, which is the territory of PCA. It occurs in 26% of patients with stroke. There is a loss of vision in contralateral half of each visual field. Patients may also experience visual neglect, that is visual inattention, and problems with depth perception. What is the forced gaze deviation in the stroke patient? Paralysis of conjugate gaze from involvement of frontal lobe eye field area, that is cranial nerve third involvement, or gauge centers in the pontine reticular formation. Brainstem strokes may lead to signs of diplopia, oscillopsia, or visual distortions. What are the involvement of motor related functions? Initially, flaccid paralysis is present, and this is replaced by development of spasticity, hyperreflexia, and mass pattern movements such as obligatory synergies. There is an alteration in tone. Flaccidity is present immediately after stroke, and it is due to the effect of cerebral shock. It is generally short-lived, lasting a few days or weeks. Spasticity emerges in about 90% of cases and occurs in anti-gravity muscles. Spasticity results in tight muscles that restrict voluntary movements. Posturing of limbs is common in moderate to severe spasticity. It can lead to painful spasms similar to muscle cramping, degenerative changes, and fixed contractures. Automatic postural tone is also impaired. Patients with stroke lack the ability to adjust proximal limb and trunk during movement. Muscles not involved in any synergy patterns are latissimus dorsi, teres major, serratus anterior, finger extensors, and ankle everters. There are abnormal reflexes seen, such as reflexes altered and vary according to the stage of recovery. Initially, there is hyporeflexia with flaccidity, and when spasticity and synergies emerges, hyperreflexia is seen. The most common scene is ATNR, in which head rotation causes elbow extension on jaw side with elbow flexion of the opposite skull limb. It is associated reaction which is present in patients with stroke who exhibit strong spasticity and synergies. It consists of unintentional movement of hemiparetic limb, which is caused by voluntary action of another limb or by stimulation of yawning, sneezing, or coughing. There is a coordination alteration also present. Proprioceptive losses can result in sensory ataxia. The resulting problem with the timing and sequencing of muscles can significantly impair function and limit adaptability to changing tasks and environmental demands. Few may have slow movements or involuntary movements, that is involvement of basal ganglia. Motor praxia is the ability to plan and execute coordinate movement, which is also lost. Lesion of the premotor frontal cortex of either hemisphere, left inferior parietal lobe, and corpus callosum can produce apraxia. Apraxia is more evident with left hemisphere damage than right and is common seen with aphasia. Patient demonstrates difficulty planning and executing purposeful movements that cannot be accounted by any other reason. Now, what is about postural control and balance in the stroke patients? There are disruptions of central sensory motor processing lead to an inability to adapt postural movement to changing tasks and environmental demands and impair motor learning. There is asymmetry while weight distribution and increased postural sway in standing. Delay in onset of motor activity, abnormal timing and sequencing of muscular activity, abnormal co-contractions results in disorganization of postural synergies.